Hey everyone, in this video I want to give you 5 tips how you can improve your lead guitar skills. Tip 1. Practice your vibrato, but do it the right way. A vibrato is mostly used at the end of a lick or a certain tone sequence, and it makes even the simple licks sound much better. A lot of people still have the problem to make it sound good or even great. And this is mostly caused by a wrong technique and hand position, which then leads into an uncontrolled and sometimes very shaky vibrato. Does this sound like you? Let me show you how we can fix this. First of all, we have to change our hand position from this to a slight angle, so like a 45-degree angle. And then it's important that this part of your index finger touches the bottom of the guitar neck, okay? Because the whole motion is a wrist motion, not a finger motion. And it's more like a rotation, so something like this. Okay, so place your thumb like around here at the top of the neck. Then you play the note and you are doing a slight down bend. I prefer to do a down bend, you also can do up bends. But on this position of the neck, I like to do down bends. Okay, so the whole wrist is moving and it's not a finger motion like this. And after the bend, you just release the pressure of the bending motion. And then the tone automatically goes back into the original position. With the other fingers it's exactly the same. So it's all a rotation based on your index finger, which touches the neck down here. And it gives you much more control as if you would do the vibrato with your fingers only. The second tip is mute your strings. Yes, this is a big topic for us electric guitar players, especially if we use overdriven or distorted guitar tones, because very often you will get like noises from open strings that are ringing. For example, if you play a lick on the higher strings and you don't mute the other strings, then this can happen. Okay, so you could hear that noise after that lick, and that mostly comes from the lowest 3 strings, the E string, A string and the D string. To avoid this, make sure to place your palm of your right hand or your picking hand on the lowest 3 strings while you are playing licks and melody lines on the higher strings. This happens also very often if you play scales, so let's say the pentatonic scale. So it's basically the same here. If you move from the lower strings to the higher strings, then make sure to place your palm of your picking hand on the lower strings to keep them muted. Another example or another very common problem that some people have when they play like lead guitar stuff is noise from other strings when they do bendings. Okay, something like this. So it's mostly when you do like a bend release. So for example, we are bending the G string, and when you're on the top of the bend and then release it, then you touch the D string and then this will ring. To avoid this, you can simply place your index finger a little bit higher, so you're still on the G string, but you're slightly touching the D string above, okay? And then when you bend it, you automatically mute it, even when you go back from the bend. And you also have to keep in mind that when you do a bend like this, it makes sense to place your palm on the low E string and the A string to mute them as well. If you keep that in mind, then you probably won't have any open string noise when you are doing bendings. Tip 2.5 is more of a personal recommendation, or let's call it self-promotion. I've started doing guitar online courses a few months ago, and my latest course is called Lead Guitar Techniques. So this video, which you are watching at the moment, is kind of based off some of the topics that you will find in that course. But the course goes much more in depth. It goes from like basic techniques like vibrato, bending, hammer-ons, pull-offs, up to more advanced stuff like tapping, different harmonics, or combinations of certain techniques. There are also a lot of different exercises, downloadable resources, and guitar profiles available. And the course will also be updated and filled with new lessons from time to time, which of course is totally free for you after you have purchased the course once. So if you are interested in that, I would be very happy if you check out the link in my video description. Thank you. Now we come to tip 3, dynamic playing. Dynamic playing is very important if you want to give your solo or your melody a certain expression. If you play every note with the same picking attack, it would sound very stiff or like a robot. So what you can do instead is using different picking attacks for the notes that you are playing. For example, you can emphasize the notes that should stand out more with a harder attack and use a softer attack for the other notes, which are more the transition notes. You can also implement palm muting into that, which is also a great way to get more dynamic into your playing. Tip number 4, use techniques to make simple licks sound more interesting. I guess you know the pentatonic scale, right? Playing licks with only these 5 notes can get boring at some point. But you really don't have to dive into modes or more exotic scales to sound more interesting. Try to use certain techniques to give your pentatonic licks some variation. For example, let's take these 4 notes. So they are in the standard A minor pentatonic shape. So let me show you how many different variations I can get out of these 4 notes by only using techniques like bending, vibrato, hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides. So there are quite a few variations possible. To be fair, some of them sound similar, but still it shows you that you can get a lot of different variations of a very simple pentatonic lick. Of course, you can also apply this to more advanced licks or tone sequences, or even to a complete guitar solo and give it your own expression. Also combining that with the previous tip, the dynamic playing, gives you even more options. Tip number 5, micro bends. Placing a micro bend on the right position can make a lick sound much more interesting. If you are in a minor scale, so let's say the A minor pentatonic, then the perfect spot for a micro bend is the minor third. If you don't know what that is, no problem. So this is your root note, the A, and the minor third is this note. It is the C. In this case, the 5th fret on the G string. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so you are placing just a quarter note bend, so it's not even a half step bend, it's just a quarter step. You can also do it up here, on the 8th and 10th fret. So this is the minor third. The reason why it sounds so good is because you are slightly bending into the major third, not completely, just a little bit. And this is a very common thing that blues players do. And that's why it also sounds a little bit bluesy. Alright, I really hope these tips can help you to improve your lead guitar skills. Please let me know down in the comments if you have other tips that you want to share with us. And as I mentioned before, if you want to dive more into lead guitar playing, then make sure to check out my online course, Lead Guitar Techniques. The link is down in the video description. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're new here, so that we can see each other in the next video.